on there. Now, today marks 1 year since Typhoon Haiyan, the strongest typhoon to ever make landfall, hit the Philippines. It left complete devastation in its wake, affecting 14 million people.
Now, thousands were killed and many survivors lost their livelihoods and homes. 1 year on, although children, families and communities are getting back on their feet, the needs on the ground are still overwhelming. Cathro of Plan International travelled to the Philippines in the immediate aftermath of the typhoon and witnessed much of the impact firsthand, and he joins us now from Melbourne. Adam, good to speak to you, and I gather you have been back recently. I just wanted to go through first some of those figures, which the devastation is quite unbelievable. More than 6,000 people confirmed dead, more than 27,000 injured, and close to 2,000 still missing.
That's correct, yeah, they're pretty shocking numbers.
So how is the community recovering, given those devastating figures?
Well, it's a tough challenge for any country, and obviously the Philippines is no different. These people are wonderful people, very optimistic, very enthusiastic, very resourceful. They've really come together, and you can see, I saw that just a couple of weeks ago in Tacloban. They really come together, and they've got a big smile on their faces, very optimistic, and just push on, just push on. But they do need support, and they do need help getting back on their feet.
So, Adam, tell us what you saw when you recently visited Tacloban.
Right. Well, it's certainly different from a year ago. The rubble's been cleared, the debris has been cleared off the road, and it's passable. Shops are reopened, businesses are back. Something like 60%, I believe, of most of the businesses are now reopened. And there's construction everywhere. NGOs like Plan and many others are building houses, homes, infrastructure, hospitals, churches, just rebuilding. A lot of work being done, but a lot of work still needs to be done.
When you say they're rebuilding, obviously that's a massive task to try and get people in the communities back on their feet, but do they have future disasters in mind as they do this?
Absolutely. Organisations like our own are doing something we call Building Back Better, which is where we're training people to rebuild, for example, their homes, so that they're now going to be resistant to typhoons and to other disasters in the future. So something like this, when it does hit, a typhoon does hit, and 20 to 25 on average hit the Philippines every year, so it's going to happen again. They will be able to resist that, and they will actually be able to, resist this sort of disaster again. So, but it's a huge challenge. It's a lot of work.
And so, as that rebuilding takes place, is there a concern though that people actually move away from the sites where they used to work, where they used to send their kids to school? Is it quite disruptive?
Yeah, that's a really good question. There's quite a vexed question around a 40-metre exclusion zone. The government doesn't want people to build their homes within 40 metres of the coastline for obvious reasons. But people are faced with a dilemma. On the one hand, they don't want to live 40 metres from the sea because it's dangerous. On the other hand, many of them rely on the sea, fishermen, for example, rely on the sea for their livelihood. So there's a real dilemma there, and that dilemma has not been solved. And, we, organisations like our own and the government are still looking for that sort of the resolution, a happy medium there.
Adam, we're speaking about the physical devastation that was wrought by the typhoon. What about the psychological impact this has had, particularly when we bear in mind that at least 5 million children were involved?
Children, of course. In many ways, the psychological impact is far more devastating than the physical impact. We opened 101 child-friendly spaces and supported 21,000 children in the last year to heal and recover in a safe place. And I've met a lot of those children, and things are getting better, but some of them are still, and have been for the last year, afraid of rain, afraid of wind, afraid of smaller storms that hit the Philippines quite often, just a bit of monsoon. That's a tough thing to see. They're getting better. They're getting a lot of support from organisations like ours, and of course from their parents, and we're helping parents do that. But yeah, the psychological impact is huge and probably lifelong.
And so what can we do, people in Western countries? Is there still a need for money specifically, or is it, properly funding local organisations potentially to help rebuild?
Yeah, it's a good question. Well, it comes down to money, because the answer to both of those problems are of course money. We at Plan, we've raised a lot of money, but we're still looking for something like around $10 million that we're hoping to raise, because it's a 5-year recovery program. We're only a year into it. So there's a lot of work left to be done. There's a lot of information difficult. There's something like 25,000 people living in very precarious conditions in tent cities or bunk houses, and we need to help those people. So, yeah, we're still looking for the Australian public to not move their attention away from the Philippines, because these people are, after all, our neighbours. They're right there on our doorstep. And they really need our support. So we are hoping that the Australian public can reach into their pockets, and even a small donation can make an enormous difference to the lives of these wonderful people in the Philippines.
Adam Cathro from Plan International, thanks so much.
Great, thank you very much.